Well, folks, this is one of those hunts that I look forward to. It seems like every year I have a hunt with a certain guest that is just something I've wanted to do for a long time. And this time it's with my uncle, Jim. Jim Stickler, or as how we call him in the family, Jimmer. He's my mom's youngest brother, but he's only 15 months older than I am. And we were roommates in college and grew up in northern Minnesota, almost like brothers more than it would be a nephew-uncle relationship. But I've always talked to him about elk hunting. And we've always been going to someday do an elk hunt. Well, this was the year. I had called him this winter and said, hey, Jim, let's apply in New Mexico. We are in Idaho Falls, Idaho, picking up the rest of our crew, known as llamas. We are at the galactic headquarters of Wilderness Ridge Trail Llamas, where we're here to pick up Marcus, the public land llama, McShane, Butch, and Tokyo.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. How you been?
Good. All's been good.
Yeah?
Been busy season.
Yeah? Great.
Good though.
Busy's good.
So now here to show you the llamas, go through the gear, go through saddling one more time.
Yep.
And then we got a checklist of gear that you know that you have, and away you go.
That's what there is to this renting llama stuff, folks. Bo has got it dialed in. I just think you should triple your prices.
People have given me grief about Randy. Randy keeps raising your prices.
I mean, if you want to go elk hunting, right here's the tool. Bo sets you up. You show up, trailer, hay, llamas, tack, you name it. All you got to do is go out in the woods and shoot an elk. All right. Thanks so much.
Yep.
Have a good trip.
Thank you. We are here in Albuquerque picking up our guest hunter, who happens to be my uncle, Jim Stickler, my mom's youngest brother.
My wife's only request from this hunt was a picture of the llama's
You
faces.
get lots of pictures. This is McShane,
Oh, they got names?
Tokyo, Marcus, and Butch in the back.
They have names.
Yeah, see, Tokyo, he's got a little tag on there. So as long as you pet them from here down, they're good. If you sit
Oh,
down-
pet your face. Huh?
Yeah.
They have top and bottom teeth?
Oh yeah. You'll find that
So they
out.
can take her right off.
Oh,
then.
yeah. You'll be walking around like Pete Vanderploot. Pete was the guy who lived in our hometown. He run too many fingers through the head saw at the sawmill. You
One at
ready?
a time. I'm ready.
All right, let's get your stuff. One of Jim's hopes for this hunt was to get face to face with the bugling elk. He's never had the chance to come and do this, and being face to face with an elk is just, and those of you who've done it, you know how exhilarating it is. You know that it just gets your blood and your heart rate. Boop, 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 boop. And so that was the hope for Jim. He told me it didn't matter whether or not he shot a bull or whether he shoots a big one or a small one. I think for both of us, now that we're in our mid-50s, it's more about spending time together, making sure that we do the things we say we were gonna do someday, because you never know when someday is gonna be here, if at all. We showed up here, and my spot, my first spot I wanted to go to, we couldn't get into because the road was washed out from all that rain the week before. So now we got to go to plan B or C or D or whatever, and it just, everything kind of shifted. So here's our dilemma, folks. We lost out on plan A. Now we're to the end of the road for plan B, and we don't know where the elk might be. So we're gonna set up a camp here for a day or so. Probably stake out the llamas back there. And then we're just gonna have to move and move until we find where the elk are. Then we'll come back, probably get the llamas and go set a camp 4 or 5 miles further back. So, but for right now, this is where we're at. I think what we do, we walk up this road to where that gate is, and then we walk around that private and get up to the back up on those hills, and we just start calling until somebody strikes up the band.
Bugling or cow calling?
Bugling. Okay. See if someone strikes up the band, we'll go play music with them. Bulls might have been feeding up higher a couple weeks ago, but the cows have always been down where the good feed is. It's for them, it's good feed all year round. So now the bulls have come down, and they're either with the cows or on the periphery of the cows. So find the good food and water that the cows are selecting. And you'll find the bulls. Here's everything they need: food, undisturbed because the road is closed by that gate, and just over this ridge is water. Why they wouldn't be in here, who knows, but they're not. So. Not good. Mama and a cub. There's another cub right here. Yeah, see it? I think we'll go this way. Yeah, she ran. Shimmied him up. Oh yeah. There they go. One of the things you will notice in this hunt is I don't waste a lot of time on a place if I'm not seeing elk. A lot of people ask, well, how much time do you give it? Well, I give it a day. And if I'm not seeing sign, I'm not seeing tracks, fresh droppings, if the landscape just doesn't look like the place that cow elk will be in the peak rut, I'm pulling stakes. And that's what I did. So we spent the whole day setting up camp, hunted all night, or all afternoon and evening, stayed the night, hunted the next morning. And you know what? Plan B or C or D, whatever plan we were on. And so we drive all the way out of there. Next day, we go hunt this other spot that's on my e-scouting plan. We get in there, yeah, it looks okay, but it's pretty confining. It's up against a boundary, and all the elk we're seeing are out in this private land, which maybe later in the hunt is gonna be worthwhile, but I just didn't have a good feeling about that. Well, then we come back to the BLM campground, and I start asking around, and I call the person, and they say, well, yeah, you could probably get in there now. The road's getting fixed today. And when I say get in there, I'm talking about my A spot. So we load up our camp, load up our llamas, and we go way around. It takes forever to get to this other spot that was my A spot. But I've never been there before, so I don't know. So we do that, get out there late that afternoon, set our camp. And then the next morning, we get up, and as we're packing the llamas, we hear elk bugling.
That guy wants to die. I mean, that's an elk bugling right over there.
And this was a mistake. I make so many mistakes, and I got to point this one out. We hear elk bugling about 3/4 of a mile away, and what do we do? Or what did I do, I should say? I keep packing the llamas, telling the guys, yeah, let's get ready. If there's 2 of them bugling here, when we get down 5 miles down where we want to be, boy, they'll be everywhere. So we get way down this creek and we get set up there. I'm thinking, all right, this is it. There's not a lot of people here. Took a lot of effort. The llamas brought everything in. We're set. We're now where we want to be. Come over here, McShane. They'll have this grazed down in no time. But one of the things I noticed when we hiked in there is the further east we went, the less green it got. I mean, it was getting almost brown. Like, oh man, I don't like the looks of this. I expected this to be as green as everywhere else, which means there'd be food, which means there'd be cows, which means there'd be bulls. Well, we spent that evening, we went on a big loop. We went and started checking water tanks, all dry. I'm sure people were wondering, why am I walking so far across this big, dried out flat? Because this was the primary water source in the area. And I'm not gonna spend the next 5 days hunting if the primary water source, bone dry. We saw 2 cow elk and I think they were lost. No food, no droppings, no tracks, nothing. Hiking back to camp that night, I'm thinking, you know what, Randy, this spot, as much as you might have thought this looked good on the map, it is not the spot you thought it would be. I told Jim, I said, I know it's taken us a lot of effort to get back here with the llamas. We spent a whole day getting in here. I hate to pull, but I'm gonna pull it. And we're gonna have to go to plan D or J or whatever. We put on a lot of miles in those days, just hiking into a spot that just seemed like it should be really good. But sometimes you get there, and no matter how much e-scouting you do, no matter how much experience you have that you think this is it, sometimes it just doesn't work out. With still 4 days left in the hunt, I told Jim, we're pulling camp. We're going back to that BLM campground and we're just gonna cover more territory. And I know he had to be thinking, gee, Randy, is this all we're gonna do is pull camp and set camp and pull camp and set camp? But that's how I do these hunts. I am not one who wants to spend and waste my time in a place that probably doesn't have any elk. And you can quickly tell if there are elk. For me, I give it a day and I'm on to the next spot. And I know it's a pain to pull camp, and I know it's a risk that the next spot could be even less accommodating to elk, but that's how we did it. I'm looking at my OnX system and all the waypoints and all the places I had marked. And here I am in the middle of day 4 on a 7-day hunt. And I still have not found where the elk are. So that evening, I told Jim, many of the people I've talked to about this hunt said, hey, go hunt some of these places way over on the west side. So we did that. We climb up this big mesa and we get up there, and the good news is we saw a couple herds of cows. I think there were 6 in one and 9 in another. But unfortunately, there were no bulls with them. So we finally find a place with unbelievable food. There's cows, but there's no bulls on September 11th. I don't know how that can be. I'm easily flummoxed, but I think this would even flummox the best of them. At this point, I'm almost at a loss. Now it's day 5 of a 7-day hunt, and I am not able to find bull elk. You know, that's, if there's one thing I've usually been pretty good at, it's been finding the elk. Maybe not getting them killed or hanging a tag on one, but usually I can find them. I don't know what day we're on. This morning was a complete bust. We got up way before daylight, went to every knob driving around bugling. Marcus couldn't get one reply, and he's the best bugler in the crew, so we gave up on that idea. Went and scouted a bunch of more dry water holes. That didn't work. So we're just having a heck of a time here. We do know, because we came in here yesterday and this morning, there's elk been coming into this water tank up here. So Dan and I are gonna go sit this water tank. And I told Jim earlier that me sitting water, if he gave me a choice of taking my bare naked bottom and dunking it in hot fryer grease, I'd rather do that than sit in a blind. But I'm gonna go sit in a blind because he and Marcus are gonna go way up north to where we did have a couple bulls bugling one morning. And they're gonna go have fun chasing elk and probably shooting one. And Dan and I are gonna sit in this blind. That's what we're doing today, folks, because we got tonight and tomorrow morning. And that's it. So far, sitting water, the saving grace is cloud cover. If it wasn't for this cloud cover, I'd have quit by now. And I've only been at it for 2 hours. I mean, when you think about it, that's all you can do at this point. You've done as much scouring of the landscape. And normally by day 2 or 3, I've seen enough signs, seen enough elk. All right, that's where I'm gonna focus the remaining 4 or 5 days of my hunt. Well, here it is, just the opposite. It's taken me 5 days to find hardly any sign, hardly any elk. And I've got a day and a half left. And so Dan and I sat that water hole. Bull bugling right up here, right behind us. I'm thinking, is it? This is gonna work. The wind is perfect. And then all of a sudden we hear, wah. I couldn't tell if it was a vehicle or an all-terrain vehicle, side-by-side thing, but they were coming up the draw and they parked just below the big sand tank where we were at. Are they bugling? They turned their vehicle off. I'm afraid they're walking up here. They're cow-calling. I think they're cow-calling. And instantly the elk shut up. So we're sitting there, Dan and I are looking, boy, they gotta get here quick. We're running out of daylight. Unfortunately, they showed up about 5 minutes after legal shooting light. In came a group of 6 cows. Then came another group of 6 cows and a spike in a really nice 6-point bull. That big old bull was in that water, just thrashing around 30 yards away. We had cows feeding 10, 12 yards in front of us. The wind is perfect, blowing our scent away from them, kind of down a different little finger of the canyon. But they showed up 5 or 10 minutes after shooting light. And I know the people who drove up here, they had no idea we were sitting in that blind. It's not their fault. It's just part of hunting public land, and there's nothing you can do about it other than just chalk it up to bad luck. We were minutes away from having that. Oh man, we got some good audio. Don't know, I'm sure the video sucks because it's so dark, but anyhow, that's how it goes. Nothing you can do about it. Time to pack up. We gotta start walking out of here. Those guys are gonna come and pick us up when they're done. Dang it. So close. The good news was when we hooked up and met with Jim and Marcus that evening when they came to pick us up, they were excited because they'd seen some nice elk.
Ready?
For what?
Kill an elk.
I'm ready, yeah.
All right.
Just kept going from ridge to ridge, calling and listening, and we're getting back there quite a ways, it seemed like, and it was getting pretty late in the day, and all of a sudden Marcus got excited. I seen him fumbling for his binoculars there. Well, we found them. Well, Marcus found them. There's about 25 of them sitting in that big green pasture up there with one gigantic bull. But it looks like they're on private property. But he said we're gonna scoot over there and see if we can find a satellite bull outside there. This side, maybe we can hopefully get a shot at something tonight. Be pretty awesome. So we hoofed it as fast as we could over close to them, and sure enough, we started seeing some cows pop up, and we started getting close to those cows, and all of a sudden Marcus seen a great big bull with him. He figured it was like 300 inch, and I don't know nothing about scoring elk, but 300 inches sounds big to me. And we snuck in the best we could and got probably within a little over 100 yards, and Marcus tried to call that bull in. And we sat down and got an arrow knocked and ready. We never seen him again, but it was a heart-pumping experience for a guy that's never been around elk. It was an extremely memorable evening.
That night at camp, we kind of had the other problem of, all right, we can hunt the morning of day 7, then we got to pull out and get on the road. What do we do? We know there are elk up in the one spot that Marcus and Jim went to. We know there are elk where Dan and I were. So the plan was made. Let's go to the spot where we sat water. Those elk were bugling like crazy as we were walking out of there, and see if we can get them to respond. So we came into that spot well before the sun was up, started calling. We were already way up on the ridges before legal shooting light. Dead silent. There's a guy who has the tag that starts tomorrow. Lucas' pa. And Lucas and I have been communicating on this hunt. I told him I'd tell him what I found out. He'd told me what he'd found while he was scouting here. Unfortunately, I don't have much to share with him. He's over here on the county road. We come down here and he's like, oh, we just saw a bunch of young bulls head into this state section you guys have been hunting. Oh well. So we're gonna go have a little cow party in here. We're gonna walk in there. It's about a 1.5 mile, 2 mile walk, and see if we can get them pulled away. It's kind of a tight place. It's mostly surrounded by private, so you really gotta know where you're at. And Marcus and I are talking and we're thinking, you know what? These are all younger bulls. Let's get way back in the northeast corner. Let's try the best we can to get some wind in our favor, and let's just have what Marcus calls a cow party. And young bulls this time of year are very receptive to cow calling. And a cow party is me, Dan, Marcus, all three of us get out our cow calls and we're just, I mean, I'm sure on camera people are thinking, Newberg, this is the dumbest thing I have ever seen. We're doing our cow party for probably a half an hour at least, maybe even a little longer. And all of a sudden I hear the clacking of hooves on rocks and I'm thinking, that's gotta be cattle. Unfortunately, there's a pinon tree between him and where I'm at. He turns and he trots off a little bit, but the good news is he's going straight to Jim and Marcus.
I was ready to pull the trigger when he turned and started walking, and then I never got another shot in range. It was as exciting as I had thought that it would be. My heart rate was up there pretty high while bulls were standing right there. I don't know what to tell you. That's all the fun of killing one with none of the work.
Well, I'll tell you what, we have not caught a break on this hunt.
We just did.
Well, yeah, but
Last night was tremendous. Today, off the scales. That was cool. That was something I've wanted to do my entire life, and I just did it. You know, hunting hard for 7 days and not seeing anything, a lot of people get discouraged with it, but you know, when you have an opportunity to go hunting with somebody like Randy that you've loved all your life, it don't matter what the hunting's like. It's not the amount of animals you see, it's about the human interaction to me. And the whole hunt was more fun than I had imagined.
to me, just the time spent with Jim has made this a grade A hunt. And I know for maybe the audience, it's not been as exciting and exhilarating, and I get that, and I wish it was different, but I hope you understand that we're gonna show you the reality of what happened, and we wanna emphasize how important it is to go and hunt with the people that mean the most to you. Yeah, there was a time where filling a tag was important, and then there was a time when maybe shooting a bigger one was important. Not anymore. I've lost enough friends, enough family that are not here anymore that I know the true value of what the days of field represent are expressed in the time spent with people who I love and who mean a lot to me. So I hope you'll go do the same. Jim, thanks so much for being here. Thanks for being such a great uncle, great friend, and let's go do this again.